Welcome back, MTN Nets podcast. I was not planning on making a video, but just a frustrating loss that I kind of feel like I want to rant about. The Nets lose at San Antonio. I mean, it's not over yet. They're down 6 with like 25 seconds left, so barring some freaking miracle here, they're going to lose this game. And it's just based on how the night's gone, they're gonna lose. I've seen too many opportunities for them to come back in this game, and they always throw it away or something. 20 turnovers, some guys giving them absolutely nothing. And of course, last time I talked to you guys, it was off the Celtics loss. That was the first game without Kevin Durant. And I kind of expected to lose that game. It's Boston. They're a great team. So it happens. But then, of course, you had the OKC game on Sunday. They hang around for 3 quarters, had a 10-point lead, I think, in the third quarter. They go on to blow that game, lose that one. Tonight, they had a pretty decent lead. I say like 8 points maybe in the second quarter. They blow that game. It's tied at halftime. And then tonight, they bring it to like a 4-point game. They could never take the lead. It was one of those frustrating games. I mean, Ben Simmons had a triple-double. I guess that's cool. A 10-10-11 triple-double, 11 assists, 10 points, 10 rebounds. So kind of like the Draymond Green type triple-double. I mean, we saw some great things from Ben and some pretty ugly things. The ugly things were early, but I think Ben in like the second quarter on was very good tonight. So that is a positive. But the Nets right now have 21 turnovers. I forgot there was the stupid Claxton illegal screen with like 40 seconds left when they kind of had a chance to come back, and that was the final nail in the coffin, basically. But yeah, 21 turnovers. You can't win that way. The way they shot from 3 tonight was, oh my God, it was brutal. 13%, 3 of 23 from downtown. I mean, the Spurs weren't much better. They were 7 of 34, 20%. So if you're a fan of horrendous three-point shooting, this was the game for you. But yeah, they're going to lose. They're down 8 with 12 seconds left here. Cam Thomas, garbage time 3. Probably got fouled. Yep, no foul. Wow. Okay, no foul. So that's it, 106-98. Nets lose. But yeah, it just feels like too much of last year. And I don't want to freak out. It's 3 games, whatever. But like, you have to find a way to close out one of these games. And I'm including the Boston one because they hung around for 3 quarters in that game. They had every right to win that game too. I mean, I know Boston's better. They have much better role players, much more continuity. But the Nets hung around for 3 quarters. They had a chance to win that game. OKC had a chance to win that game. Tonight, I mean, you're 4.5, 5.5 point favorites. Kyrie's a late scratch with calf tightness. I don't even know if it's a real injury or just a rest day. But I hope it's a real injury. Like the Nets, that's the problem I had like about the team last year. They did not take the regular season serious at all. And now I'm getting those same vibes again. Like if this was a playoff game, I'm sure Kyrie plays tonight and I'm sure they win the game. But, now they're just like, whatever. Let's just give Kyrie rest because it's the Spurs. We can beat them. And that's not how it went. And we know how bunched up the Eastern Conference is. I mean, after tonight, the Nets will be behind Milwaukee. They won tonight. They might be behind Cleveland. I'm sure they'll be behind Philly soon. So we're dropping when Katie went out, they were, I think, 1 game back of the Celtics, second place in the East. And now they're probably in like 5th place in the East. I mean, it's going to be one of those free falls, and we'll see how bad it gets. I mean, like last year it got bad. They lost like 12, 11 games in a row. Then, of course, they got the reinforcements. Curry and Drummond came over. They started getting like some wins, but they were terrible over that stretch. I mean, when KD was out, they were like 3-20. It was rough. So I don't think it'll be that bad this time around, but yeah, I'm concerned. This kind of felt like, I mean, not to the exact extent, but it kind of felt like the Kings game last year in early February, the game where Harden kind of quit on the Nets. Obviously, it wasn't the same extent because like that's just a weird circumstance, but a game on the West Coast where you're favorites to win the game. You had a lead in the second quarter like they did in Sacramento last year, and you had no reason losing this game, and they do. So, seeing that happen is frustrating, and giving up, 36 points to Keldon Johnson, who is a good player. I mean, he's a pretty good player when I watch him, but like, there's no reason to go up 36 to that guy. I'm sorry. I thought Ben Simmons did well on him, but of course he got into foul trouble, which is a constant thing for him, which I can't stand. One of those things that Ben Simmons has to fix. Nick Claxton had 3 fouls like 13 minutes into the game, so that was a problem. He didn't even play the second quarter, really. I mean, there was problems everywhere. Just so many stupid turnovers. They did get out-rebounded by a little bit. Of course, Jakob Poeltl, he had some offensive rebounds and plays early on where he was just too big and nobody can guard him. Of course, he has like probably 30, 40 pounds on Nick Claxton. I think he's like 7'1" he's listed at. So speaking of Poeltl, like I want the Nets to make a move. I don't want them to make a move out of desperation here, obviously. Don't get fleeced, but something has to change. You can't sit here and wait another like 3-4 weeks until Kevin Durant's back. Like they have to do something here. Like this, it could get ugly. It could get ugly. Like I don't want this to turn into what happened last year. It's not like we don't have an example of this. KD had pretty much the exact same injury last season, and the team turned the shit. And like it feels like it could happen again, and like you don't want that, obviously. Like we saw what happened last year. They got Durant back. Kyrie was finally made a full-time player after the stupid law was lifted, and they had to like win their last 14 out of 15 games just to get the 7 seed and like barely crawl their way into the playoffs. But that led to a first-round matchup with the Boston Celtics. Like, if you get the 3 seed, 4 seed, 2 seed, you don't have to face Boston in the first round. That's a big thing. Like, I don't want to play that team in the first round, especially. So, looking at the schedule, I mean, you're at Phoenix, a game where you would hope they can at least win that game. I mean, Phoenix is still not playing well. They've lost, my goodness, they've lost, 9 out of 10 games. I mean, they've sucked. So, I don't trust the Nets right now to really beat anybody, especially after tonight. Like, I felt kind of good about this game tonight, and then I saw Kyrie was out, and I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And the funny part is, so when the Nets tweeted their injury report at 10, 11 a.m. I tweeted below that I was like waiting for the questionable, or waiting for somebody to be downgraded to questionable, and then what do you know, 2 hours later Kyrie was downgraded to questionable. So I don't know if I jinxed that. I hope not, but it's just funny how that works. Also, Jacque Vaughn, not the best game from him. It was a pretty ugly Jacque Vaughn game. I mean, where the hell was Cam Thomas in the first quarter? I get that Patty Mills is back in San Antonio playing against his former team. He sucks. I don't want to see him anymore. All right, I don't want to see Patty Mills. There's no reason to play him over Cam Thomas. None. You can't say it's for defense. The only thing you can say is experience. And at that, I don't care. Cam Thomas is better in every single area. And then Cam Thomas came in the second quarter, and what do you know? The Nets went on a big run, and they got the lead. So I have no idea why they go with Patty Mills. No clue. I just don't get it. Steve Nash was obsessed with Patty Mills. At least he's gotten a lot of DMPs with Jacque Vaughn here, but play Cam Thomas over him. It makes no sense. Cam Thomas is better at this point in his career. It's not close either. I don't think it's close. So Cam was impressive. I'll look at his stats later, but just very annoying how Patty Mills was the first guy, and Day'Ron Sharpe was the first guy off the bench. And maybe that coincided with Claxton's foul trouble, but still, that's your go-to guy. Then they went to Markieff Morris in the second quarter. He got in a little fight with somebody, the guy with the snow cone-looking haircut. I forget his name. But he got in a little fight. So Markieff Morris brings that toughness. I did like seeing that. But he was in the second quarter when the Nets went on that run too. So Markieff Morris was kind of helping out. Didn't do much, honestly, but I guess he adds more of a mobile 5 for this team. Definitely better than what Day'Ron Sharpe was doing out there. But yeah, if I'm Sean Marks, I would be on the phones. I would just see what I can do to upgrade this team right now. It's just it's ugly. It's just, as I said, you saw what happened last year. You can't let this go much longer. I know you have a better roster this time around. You have a better coach this time around. I don't expect the Nets to lose 13 games in a row like last year, but why even chance it? You have a chance to make moves here. Go ahead and do it. Joe Harris. I love Joe Harris. He's been here a long time, but what the hell was he even out there for tonight? He was terrible. Joe Harris, 0 of 3, playing no defense. I mean, he had 2 steals, I guess, but I don't know how the hell that happened. But getting burnt in one-on-one situations, Joe Harris was awful. He missed a couple open threes. He did nothing, and I'm kind of over it. As much as I, would have loved to seen Joe Harris, have a NBA Finals win with the Nets, or win a championship with the Nets, I should say. I just don't think it's going to happen. Joe Harris is not the guy he used to be. I don't know if it's the surgery, if it's the confidence level, if it's something else. I mean, Joe Harris in 2019 through 2021 was one of the better role players in the league. I mean, I could be over-exaggerating, but from what I watched, he was pretty damn good. And then he gets hurt in beginning of last season at OKC, and he just has not been the same guy. So he's had moments, but just not consistent. He was garbage today. 17 minutes, 0 of 3, had no positive impact on the game. I mean, Nick Claxton, it was a good game, 7 of 11. He did extend the 3 blocks or more streak. He had 1 in the early fourth quarter, 3 blocks in the fourth, had 4 overall, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, but he was a minus 19, which is weird, so didn't expect that. Only 28 minutes. I mean, it's 28 minutes. It's a good amount, but he didn't get in foul trouble, as I mentioned. Ben Simmons, 34 minutes, 4 of 10. And I feel like a lot of that 4 of 10, he missed some easy shots. Like, there were a couple plays where maybe Simmons got fouled. The refs were kind of not blowing the whistle for Ben Simmons tonight for some reason. I mean, I guess they could have called a couple charges on him too, in fairness, but still, I mean, I feel like when Ben Simmons was getting his arm held, going for passes or layups, they were not really blowing the whistle. But anyway, 4 of 10. I mentioned in the triple-double, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. He had 10 points. He was the only, or not the only net, but he was a +3. So he was one of the few nets to be in the plus territory. Markieff Morris was actually a +15. And TJ Warren was a +1. Day'Ron Sharpe a +1. Cam Thomas, +12. +12 for Cam Thomas. Patty Mills was a -3. I mean, not the biggest sample size in 6 minutes. Even Yuta Watanabe. I mean, it was going to happen eventually. He's going to fall back to earth, but he's been doing nothing lately, so you can't really count on him to do much at this point. I thought Edmund Sumner gave them a great second quarter. He was 4 of 6 on the game, 1 of 1 from 3, made a nice long left wing 3-pointer. And what else they did? I mean, he was good at like just transition buckets, getting to the rim, finishing, getting to the line, things like that. So 4 of 4 on the free throws for Edmund Sumner. Obviously, with Kyrie out, he's going to have a more expanded role, but, Sumner's not like the guy you want playing around 20 minutes for your team. Royce O'Neal, just another game where he was pretty invisible. He made that big 3 at the end to make it like a 5-point game. I think he made it 96-91. There's like one of those weird plays. I think maybe Curry dove on the ground and kicked it out to O'Neal, and he made the 3. So, he made like a 5-point game, but the Nets, of course, they gave up like a dunk or something next possession because that's just how the entire game went. It was annoying. It was just one of those games where the Nets kept coming back, and they got it to 5, got it to 4, got it to 6, and the Spurs had an answer every single time. A lot of times it was a Keldon Johnson dunk or just some other, like a Josh Richardson mid-range shot. Like, what the hell? Like, that makes no sense either. But, Royce O'Neal, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 8 overall. Had some defensive possessions that were good, but for the most part, not very noticeable. Seth Curry had a lot of shots, 16 shots, made 6 of them, 1 of 7 from 3, made all 3 of his foul shots. He was fouled on the 3. He kind of kicked his legs out, but the Spurs had no challenges left. 7 rebounds for Seth. Wow, so that was cool to see. But 3 turnovers. Ben Simmons had 7 turnovers, by the way. I didn't mention that. He had some bad passes in the first half. He had a lazy pick and roll pass to Claxton at the end that kind of made me put my, face in my palm or my palm in my face, whatever the hell the saying is. It was a rough one there. Just another annoying one. So they dropped to 27-16 now. When KD went out, they were 27-13. So I'm curious. I wonder how far the Nets drop here by the time Durant's back. It's like last year they went from like the 2nd seed when he was out, and I think they dropped all the way back to 10. And, of course, they finished in 7th. So, at least the KD injury's not for the year, thank God. But, like, as I said, I don't know how bad it's going to get. I don't see them dropping till, like, I'm trying to think who's, like, really tough to catch. I don't see them dropping below Miami in the 7th seed because right now the Nets have a 4-game lead on Miami. But, like, you never know. And right now the Nets are in the 4 seed. So they are pretty much tied with the Sixers, the Cavs, and they're 3 ahead of the Knicks, who are in 6th. So, they're flirting with dangerous territory. They've lost 3 out of 5 now. As I said, they should have won tonight or even the OKC game, and we could have stopped the bleeding. But, I think if we didn't experience last year and so much losing without KD, it wouldn't be as worrisome right now because, of course, like the Nets have not had a game yet where they had Kyrie and Ben. I believe Ben, he missed the OKC game, and Kyrie missed tonight's game versus the Spurs. So they have not had they have not had a Ben and Kyrie game yet. So, I guess they had. They did in the Celtics game, but still, they lost that game, and the Celtics are good. But so far on this West Coast trip, they have not had, Kyrie and Ben. So hopefully against the Suns, I think it is, on Thursday at 10 o'clock game. I cannot wait to stay up till 1 a.m. to watch the Nets lose. That's going to be fun. Thursday, it's at Phoenix. Friday at Utah. Sunday at Golden State. and then you go back to the East Coast at Philly, and then you're home versus Detroit, home versus the Knicks, home versus the Lakers. So, and around that time is when KD should hopefully be rumored to start coming back around some point. So, hopefully just like 5-6 more games without him, maybe a bit more. It can't be much longer because this team obviously can't survive without him, which is sad. I mean, you shouldn't be that reliant on one guy. I know it's Kevin Durant, top 3 player in the world. I get all that, but you should not be that reliant on one guy that when the one guy gets off your team, you just completely fall apart. I don't want to overreact, but it's also annoying to see that because that was literally one of the main concerns that KD had at the media day this year. He came to media day and listed the reasons as to why he requested a trade. And one of the reasons was because he did not like the way the team was playing when he was out of the lineup last year in most of January and half of February. I think all of February. So, we're going through it again. It's a deja vu situation where KD's out of the lineup and the Nets are not winning games. And yeah, it's 3 games, small sample size. We'll see what happens the rest of this road trip. I might make a video Friday after Utah's game. We'll see how that goes, if I'm up for it or not. But if not, maybe Sunday night, because I know the Giants play on Saturday night, so I'll have time on Sunday night maybe, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, it's just annoying. Just one of these games where you should have won. And I was also not a fan of the Jacque Vaughn rotations. I have no idea why Cam Thomas can't play more. There's no reason why Patty Mills should have been the first guy or the first guard off the bench. Just makes me crazy. Even Day'Ron Sharpe, what are we doing? Those minutes still count. I get it's the first quarter, but those minutes are still part of the 48 minutes that accumulate to the final score. We all know this, so I don't know why the hell he's experimenting like that. I give Jacque Vaughn credit for finding the lineup in the second quarter that worked. He found the lineup of Markieff, Ben, Claxton was out, I think. Who was playing? Seth maybe, and 2 other guys. They found some lineup that worked in the second quarter, so I think TJ was out there too, and I forget the other guy. But yeah, they found a lineup that worked, and as I said, you got no contributions basically from Joe Harris. I mean, I can't even say basically, none from Joe Harris. You got pretty much nothing out of Royce O'Neal. 2 guys that make decent salaries, so you have to get more out of those guys, obviously. Once again, I'll make a trade video. I made a trade video last year. Of course, the Nets last year, I mean, the biggest trade was James Harden, but at the time when I made that video, I don't think the James Harden trade rumors were that big. I mean, there might have been the first report that came out that he wasn't too happy living in Brooklyn at the time, but I made some trades at that time, mock trades basically, not some trade machine stuff, but possible players the Nets could look at to acquire last year at the deadline. And obviously that did not happen. But this year, probably sometime later this month, I would say end of January, I'll probably make some type of trade targets video for the Nets. I think you guys know I have a crush on Kuzma, so I'd love to see that happen. I think he'd be a perfect player for this team. I get, he's not the greatest defender and all that crap, but he would just be a perfect big body guy that can create on his own and make 3-point shots and just add an extra score because you see the pressure it's putting on Kyrie when KD's out, and you're seeing the pressure that it put on TJ Warren tonight. They don't have enough guys that can score. Seth Curry, I mean, as great as he is sometimes, there are nights where he can't make shit. And tonight was decent, 6 of 16, but it wasn't phenomenal. You have guys like Claxton and Ben Simmons, who obviously can't shoot the ball. They'll finish at the rim most of the time, but they don't shoot the ball. I mean, Cam Thomas, when he plays, he can create on his own, but of course, Jacque Vaughn shows he doesn't want to play Cam Thomas all the time. So I hope the Nets make some type of move, whether it's a big trade like a Kuzma or a small move. I had some trade in my mind earlier today. I forget who it was now, but I was saying to myself, I was that actually would kind of fit the Nets. I remember I brought up the stupid idea of Rozier and Plumlee from the Hornets, but I don't think they can afford that. I'm trying to think who it was now that I'm thinking about. Oh, I remember. I was watching the Rockets-Lakers game last night, and I was thinking let's get Kenyon Martin's son back. I feel like he's a good energy player, Kenyon Martin Jr. and Eric Gordon. I don't know what type of contract Gordon has. He probably makes a shit ton of money, so I doubt they could afford it. But I'd much rather have Eric Gordon, even at 34 years old, over Joe Harris, as dirty as that sounds, and as much as I hate saying that. But as I said, Joe Harris ain't doing much for you right now. I'll look at his contract real quick just for the hell of it, but I feel like Eric Gordon makes a lot of money. I mean, that could have been his last contract. Maybe he signed a new one. No, that's a rough contract. I mean, 4 years, $75 million. It's not up until after next season. So yeah, he'll be 35 years old, making $20 million, almost $21 million. All right, so maybe that's a contract you don't want to take for Brooklyn, but for Kenyon Martin Jr., a guy who was, I think, rumored at one point before the year to get traded, that's one that I think you can look to acquire. Kevin Martin Jr., $1.7 million. So yeah, they obviously could afford to make that trade if he actually is out there, only 22 years old. Of course, that'd be a cool throwback for the New Jersey Nets fans to get his son playing here as well. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't want Sean Marks to do nothing. Like, this team has to make a move. I hate to be pessimistic, but I don't think this Nets team can win a finals the way the roster is constructed right now. It's better than last year, but it's still not at the level they need it to be. Like, last year's supporting cast was like a 2 out of 10. I would say this year's is like a 6 out of 10, or maybe like a 5.5. Like, you need to get it to like an 8 or above to be like finals contender level. And I would say right now you're like at a 5.5 or 6. It helps to have a healthy Ben Simmons. It helps to have Royce O'Neal. It helps to have Joe Harris when he's playing better. It helps to have a wing like Yuta Watanabe. It helps to have Nick Claxton playing at a very high level. It helps to even have Markieff Morris, a stretch 5 when you need it. So just guys like that. It helps. Like, we didn't have that stuff last year, but it's still not a good enough, not good enough role players to really be in the conversation to win a championship. When things were going well here, I was convincing myself when they won 18 out of 20 games, I'm like, maybe they could do it. But then no, like, you kind of have a reality check and you see how these guys are without Kevin Durant on the floor, and you're like, oh yeah, we need somebody else. So I do hope Sean does something. We'll find out. I'll be pissed. If he doesn't do anything, I'm going to be pissed. So we'll find out what happens, though. We have time. I'll make the trade video. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like and leave a comment about this rough game we saw tonight. And I'll talk to you guys next time.